Welcome to this brief screencast on the JavaScript scripting language. There's a difference between Java and JavaScript. Unfortunately, they have the same 4 letters in their names. Java was invented by Sun in 1995. It's a complex object-oriented programming language that is widely used today. JavaScript was invented by Brendan in 1995, same year. It's a scripting language. It was intended for use on the client side in the browser. First used by Netscape browser. It was adopted by the ECMA body, so it's a standardized language. In fact, now it should truly be called ECMA script, but no one does it. We all call it JavaScript. One of the huge benefits is it's a scripting language that runs in your browser, and it provides access to the HTML DOM in the browser. It also provides access to the browser object model, or BOM. There are 2 other screencasts I'll be doing on the DOM and the BOM that allows JavaScript to manipulate either the HTML document or actually the browser itself. You can do things like go forward or back in history, etc. See the other screencasts for those. JavaScript statements, or the language, it looks very much like Java, C++, or C. It uses curly braces for blocks. It uses semicolons to end the statement. It uses the var keyword to declare variables. And it has traditional looping mechanisms like the for loop, if statements, switch statements. It's very similar to these other languages in its control structures. It's got comments just like Java or C++, so you can use the / to do a line comment, or you can use the /* and the / to do block comments. The code looks very similar to the other languages that you're probably familiar with. So where do you put your JavaScript in the HTML document? Well, you can put it inline, where you can actually write the script in the actual HTML. You put it inside script tags, so you have a begin script tag and you have an end script tag. You can have multiple script tags. They can be placed either in the head or the body. You can have many things. So you can actually put your JavaScript code directly in the HTML document inside the script tag, or you can use an external file and link the external file into your HTML by using the source attribute of the script tag. The JavaScript file just has JavaScript in it. You don't need the the script tags in your JavaScript file. It's very nice to use these external files because you can use the same file in many of your web pages versus cutting and pasting all that same JavaScript into each individual web page. Some people recommend that you should put your script tags at the bottom, at the end of the body. That way the HTML has a chance to render before the JavaScript is loaded, especially if you're going to go grab JavaScript from some content delivery network. It may take some time for that script to be loaded, so you probably want to have your HTML rendered before you do your loading. It makes it slightly more responsive to the user. You rarely, many websites put their scripts in the head. They appear all over the place. It's just a recommendation that I haven't seen a lot of people follow. Basically, one of the things, identifiers, so names and variable names. All names can only contain letters, digits, underscores, and $signs. No additional characters. You cannot have the minus sign or a dash in your names. It's not legal. Names must begin with a letter, a $sign, or an underscore. Often they use underscores for private variables. That's not a thing that exists in JavaScript, but it indicates to the users that we want to consider this to be a private variable. Often $sign before it is, again, it's sort of a special variable, but there's no enforcement of these rules. The names are case sensitive, so be careful when you're typing in the names. If it's all caps, that's different from all lowercase, it's different than camel case. Those variables will be, or names are different. You cannot use reserved words like var for your variable name or your function name. JavaScript has many data types. Basically, they have a smallish set of data types. Number, there's no difference between integers and doubles. Everything is actually stored as a double, but it's of number data type. Strings are traditional strings. They have double quotes around them. Booleans are either true or false, so they use the keyword true or the keyword false. An array is a bunch of objects. They don't have to be the same type, so you can have an array of strings and integers intermixed. It doesn't matter. And an object is a more complex object. It has basically a set of properties that are name value pairs. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It has two additional interesting data types. The null data type actually means that it is null, and you use the keyword null. And the undefined data type, which means that the variable has not been defined. So in this page, I, in the first case, is null, which is not equal to the I in the second one because it's undefined. They are not the same. There's a very nice function in JavaScript that returns the type of a particular variable. So if you ask a type of a number, you get the string number back. If you ask for a string, you get the word string. So you get Boolean. Arrays are actually objects. Objects are objects. And null is actually an object. So if it is of type null, you get back the string object. Notice though that undefined returns undefined. So that's a nice way of checking to see whether or not the variable was initialized to something. So that's a very nice way of checking to see whether you actually have something there. So the standard arithmetic operators, addition, math, modulus, so we can get the remainder, etc. We increment, decrement, assignment, plus equals, minus equals, multiply, very traditional arithmetic operators. Comparison and logicals, JavaScript adds this additional concept of we can compare the value and the type. So we use the 3 equals to compare the value and the type. Very useful to use that because JavaScript does a lot of type conversion between, if you have a number plus a string, that gets converted into a string. The result is a string, so you may want to do the 3 equal comparison. Traditional not equal, and then the not equal equal. Again, the value's not equal, or the types are not equal. Greater than, less than, greater than, equal, less than or equal. Functions have the function keyword. You provide a name, and then you have as many parameters as you want, and you put the code that you want to be executed inside the block. So for example, the toCelsius function takes 1 parameter. Functions can have a return statement that will actually return a value. If you don't have a return statement, the function returns undefined. So we can set a variable to be the result of converting 32 to Celsius, and then the text is concatenating the string. The temperature is the number, whatever the value is, 0, and a string. And so the resulting variable text is actually a string, doing the automatic conversion or concatenation. Objects hold many values. I was talking about before. They're basically properties. They're name value pairs, and properties can actually hold functions. So in the second object cam, we have a property first name, which is a string, last name, which is a string, a property age, which is a number, and then full name, which is a function, which will return the string, the concatenation of the first name plus a space plus the last name. So you can call the function on the variable cam. So how do you access properties of the object cam? You could use the dot notation where you say the variable dot the property name, or you can use the what I call the array bracket notation where you say cam and then you provide the bracket and then you have the name of the property in a string and then close bracket. Either of those notations will return you the value of cam's first name. To access the method, you just give the method name and then the parentheses, and you can supply the parameters as needed. If you don't supply the parameter in the function, that parameter is set to undefined because it was not defined in the function call. You can actually return the function definition if you don't provide the parentheses. So you're actually returning the property full name, which is a function definition. So there's a slightly, you can return the function, you can call the function, or you can return the function definition. So variable scope in JavaScript, we have basically two scopes, local to the function and global. So in the first example here, we say function my function, we declare the variable name in the function. Outside of the function, name is not defined, so it cannot be asked or used. Global, if it's outside of the function, then it is now accessible not only to the global space, but the functions can use them. If you don't supply the keyword var when you declare the variable, it is automatically a global variable. So in general, you always want to use the var keyword so that you don't accidentally define a global variable when you meant to make it local. It's just good practice to make sure you understand where what the scope of your variables are. If you intended it to be local, you should use var. If you want it to be global, use var, but define it outside the function. So it's best practice to use the var keyword. Conditionals, JavaScript has your if statement, your if-else statement, your if-else-if statement, ... and traditional switch statement where you pass in switch, the expression, and then the cases. You need to do the break or it's going to drop down, and you should always have a default case in case the expression does not match any of the predefined cases. Very C, very Java-like, very traditional procedural language. Loops, we have the for loop. Traditional, we're going to do something n times. You initialize something, you do your check every time you go through the loop, and you have your increment or your update statements. For in, JavaScript provides a very nice for in type loop where you say for x in person, and it will assign x to every property in the object person. So it's a very nice way to loop through objects and looking at their properties. Very nice feature. You can also use that, I believe, on arrays, because arrays are objects. So you can loop over all the items in the array. While loop, classic while loop. While the condition is true, you do something, make sure you update the condition in your while loop, or you're going to have an infinite loop. And then the do while, where you do the exact same thing, but you guarantee that you're going to do that something at least once. Thank you for paying attention to this brief screencast on JavaScript.